So there we go. What are we going to review on this webinar? We will review the quote design and also the sales app. Um, so I'm going to use my test franchise to show you how the quote design works. What do we need for the quote design? We need to have a lead, right? So that's the first thing we're going to be looking for is a new lead or a lead that don't have a quote. I have this one right here. I will just edit maybe the name for webinar test. Okay, yeah, I like that. When you create a lead, I explained this on the previous module, but when you create a lead, you can already assign a design consultant to the lead, or you can do it from the quote creation process. If you notice, what I did on the lead was that I clicked on the plus sign, and that created the quote. Well, in this case, it's already created, but here should be a plus sign that you clicked on to create a quote, or you can come to the quote menu and create a new quote and just either look for a lead or create a new lead or search for a customer and create a new quote for an existing customer. So those are things that you can do. But like you saw, I already create the quote for this test lead that I'm going to be using, which is the webinar test. And it brings me to this 5-step process, which is the quote creation process for the design and everything. On step 1, we will find the details of the lead, the address, the contact information. We will also find the terms of the quote, which is what we configure from the franchise configuration screen. If you have doubts about that, on the first webinar, we review it. You can check the recording on our quick reference videos. And the quote terms are basically the job type, the pricing plan, the sales percentage, the early install date, and the incentives for early install and prepaid, which is the paid in full option. Discount if you want to add an extra discount, the deposit type, so you can define how much deposit you will be collecting. This can be changed from percentage to amount. You have to assign a deposit due date. The test franchise automatically pushes this for 20 days, but there is a way that you can change that from the franchise configuration to push the deposit due date for 30, 60, and more, depending on what you rather do when you create a quote. You can define the cruise speed multiplier, which will basically assign um, the estimate of the installation. I think this one also we review it on the previous franchise configuration webinar, but it's as simple as this. The math that we do for the estimate installation includes 4 people working under the same crew, right? So if your crew has less than 4 people, obviously they will work at a different pace. So you can change the cruise speed here from each quote, depending on who you're going to send to install it. And this can be changed to 50% if it's just 2 people, or 75% if it's just 3, or 100% if it's the 4 of them. If you consider they work fast, you can increase this to 110, 125, depending on what you rather do. This is something that you have to measure by yourself, but it will work towards the estimate installation times that we have when a job is created. Then we have the incentive for loyalty, which is the discount that you assign to a customer that goes under an agreement. This can also be set up from the franchise configuration. However, you can manually change this by quote. And then there is the adjust quote option, which is what we use once we have completed a quote, in case that there was a change or something that we provide as an extra discount, something that we forgot to include. For reporting purposes, for the end of year report mostly, you can come here and add any adjustment that was given to the quote, specify the date when you provide that adjustment and the reason why the adjustment was given. So on the end of year report, there is a column that will display if the quote had an adjustment. so that way your numbers can match towards what you finally collected from the customer, right? We have a payment platform option for the people that don't use Stripe as a payment platform. You can create your own link on Square or any other payment platform you use, and just come here, check this checkbox, and enable the option for you to add the payment link. So you create your payment invoice on your payment platform, you copy that link, you paste that link here, and that link will travel along with the quote when you email the quote to the customer. Of course, this will still be a manual process because we don't have integration with any other platform than Stripe right now. So if they do pay you through your link, you will still have to come and confirm that they paid on Lightright Cloud. If it's through Stripe, you don't have to worry about that because the system will automatically confirm once we receive the payment. So that's for the step one. You also have to, well, you have the option here to assign a design consultant, which I will do so I can show you how it looks like on the Sales app. And then you have the option to upload a photo to create a design, of course. I already have a couple of pictures for testing purposes loaded, so I'm just going to add one of those, and we'll go ahead and decorate that one. Let's see. I think this is a good example. Perfect. So I already added my picture here for the decoration of the design. You can add up to, if I'm not mistaken, 14 or 15 photos on high quality in case you want to go into details with the decoration and what you show to the customer. This is completely up to you, right? You can add a photo from the top of the house, from the side of the house, from the inside, from the front side. Whatever you decide, it's up to your creativity when it comes to creating the design for the quote, right? So, well, I'll work on this one. And once we have everything set up on the first step, we just go ahead and hit next step at the bottom. And this will take us to step number 2, which is maps and measures. What I would like to call a canvas, right? This is where you actually draw the design for the photos. What does this step includes? Well, it includes the picture, of course. It includes the tools for adding decoration to the picture and the list of items. So how does this work? Anytime you decorate the photo, an item will be created. You have to assign the item, assign the measure of the item, and that will come over to this list here, so you know how many items you've added. Of course, down the road, you can add more items extra without having to include them on the photo. I'll show you that on the next steps. But for the decoration part, what we have on the tools, well, we have all these icons right here that I will explain into detail, starting with the arrow at the beginning, which is the save button that we use. When you decorate a house and you create, I don't know, a fascia, a tree, a shrub, once you finish drawing the item, you have to come over to this arrow right here, click the arrow in order to save the item. This what will do is that it will trigger the save option for you to choose which category the item will go into and what will be the measure of that item. Currently, the platform does not calculates measurements automatically, so you will have to add your own. We're working towards developing that, but it's not in the near future. It's something that it's in progress, but it might happen eventually. Then we have these other 3 items here, which are a square, a circle, triangle. These are just shapes for you to use into the decoration. If there is a square shape here, like a window, you just click on the square, you bring it here, and then just adjust it and resize it to the window size. Same for the circle, same for the triangle. It's something, just extra tools you can use to add figures or shapes. Then we have the pen, which is to draw straight lines. I mainly recommend to use that for fascias, for ridges, for ground lights. Anything that goes into a straight line, it's very easy to draw using the pen. If you're trying to decorate something that is not a straight line, you can use the brush. So we have this other option here, which is a brush for you to just draw around the shapes of a tree or I don't know, something that is not on a straight line, that brush will help for you to do that. We have an option to add notes. This is more for when you use the crew app. You can click on this, add a note on a specific area of the design, so the installers can see or read the note that you added. Let's say, for example, I don't want this window here to be decorated. I'll just click on the note, I'll add the note here, and I'll just add the note do not decorate, so they know that this should be skipped. Um, we have garlands and wreaths with and without lights here. So the one that is just a transparent one is without lights, and then the one which is yellow, it's with lights. What kind of garlands we have? Well, we have a wreath, a straight garland, spiral garlands, arc garlands, anything you can use as daytime decor, in this case without lights, or same similar items but with lights. You just grab them, drop them, adjust the size, and just use them where you think they will go better on the design. We also have the duplicate button, which is pretty much to duplicate. Let's say I need to use two wreaths, so you just add one, and then use the same one, you can select it, and with the duplicate button we'll just pretty much duplicate that wreath, and then you can just move it to wherever you need it to be on the design of the picture. We have the back and forth arrows, which are for when you're drawing lines. So let's say if you're using the pen and you're drawing a line, but then it's not a straight line, or it's not going through the line where you need it to be, if it's out of the shape or something, you can use this to go back or to go forward if you're trying to decide if it will look good or not. It's just basically for that, to go back and forward. So let's do a little design here just so you can get the idea. I'll start by using the square. So you click on it, and then you click back on the canvas of the photo, and it add a square. Then you just click on the square, and you can just drag it to where you want it to be here, and then just resize it. If this looks too small, similar to how we zoom with the phone, if you're using a laptop, or with your mouse using the scroll, you can just zoom in and then click on the photo and adjust the photo to where you want to see it. If you notice, this is the first window I have decorated. I like the shape, it's right where it's supposed to be, so I'll click on it again, and I'll come to the arrow and save it. Like I mentioned, this pulls up the category and the measure of the item. So I'll just choose a category for this item. This is a window, of course, and I'll add a measure. Let's say this is, I don't know, 5 feet window, and I'll just add it, and it's here on my list, right? One more thing we can do with the items, let's say, because this is what the customers will see on the quote, you can select the item and you can change the name. So you can do, I don't know, left side window 1 or something like that. So they can just correlate the names on the quote towards what they see on the design. Here we can also take advantage of the duplicate button. So we just click on this same icon I just created, and then we click on the duplicate button, and that will duplicate it. See? We just adjust the shape a little bit towards where we want it to be. I want to move it. Yeah, right there. Still. And what it does is that it creates a duplicated, and it automatically saves it. If you see, it's already on my list as window 1. I'll just leave it like that, or you can just edit the name if you want later. And then I'll try to duplicate again. I think they don't look the same, but let's just leave it like that for now. So again, I'll duplicate it, and then I'm creating the next window, and then I'll duplicate it again, and I'm creating the fourth window. So now I have the whole group of windows here, and they are on my list as well, right? So that one is for the squares. Circles, there's no circular shape right now. I usually work shrubs with circles. So let's say we have a couple of shrubs on this side. I'll just add the circle, I'm sorry, and then I'll zoom in, try to fix it a little bit, uh, change the size of my circle, and I'll just add it here. Okay, so that's a shrub. I'll save it. I'll select the category for shrubs and the amount of lights. Let's say this is 25 lights. It's a small one. And we just leave it like that. Triangles, same thing. If you find a triangular shape, you can use it. I think we have a tree here that might be a triangular shape. So we'll add the triangle and we will just resize it like that. Yep. Okay, so that's a tree. I'll save it as a tree. And let's say this is 100 lights because it looks like it's far. Uh, okay, so then we use the shapes on this design already. You can keep on designing around the house and everything. Next thing we can use is also the pen for the roof lines. Let's say here, for example, I'll create this one here. Uh, how do you draw the line? Well, this one goes by clicks. You start on the corner where you want the line to start. Let's say I want it to start here. So you come and just click there. Don't hold it, just click once. Move over to the next corner, let's say here with the line. You clicked it and it will move with you. And then you can just keep on drawing around the lines just to create the full shape of the house, right? Here's another corner, goes through here, and then here is another corner. So I just created that part of the house. I like how it looks, so I'll save it and I'll make this a rich, and I'll save it. I don't know. This is something you have to know by heart already, or at least with the quotes that you're doing. Let's say this is a 40 feet rich, and I'll add it and I'll save it. And this one goes also to my list. It's here under the roof category. You see the shrub and the tree, they came over here too to the tree and shrub category. And with this, you can keep on drawing, right? You can keep on just creating a design. The more you practice, that's what I like to think, the more you practice on this canvas, the better you will become in regards to decorating the house, right? So let's say this is a fascia, uh, same size. And you can keep going, right? You can decorate the whole roof. What I like to do sometimes is when I'm just creating a decoration for test or something, you can go into Google and just take a screenshot of the top side of the house, like the top view of the house on the Google map, and use that as an example for the customer to see how it looks from the top, right? Just an idea. Or if you have a drone, you can just go ahead and take the picture from a very high side. Then you can use the brush for the weird shape trees. Let's say, for example, this one I have here. 1 second, I screwed up on that one. Okay, so when it happens that you draw something that you cannot, or it's not supposed to go there, and this is like a perfect example. I was trying to draw around this tree, but I drew the line here with the brush. That cannot be deleted, right? The best way to fix that is just to leave it like that and save it as something. Let's say this is a tree, right? And it has one light, and I'll save it. So this will create an item for this line here, which is this 3B with one light, which I can just select. You see it's selected, and then just delete it. So that way I don't complicate myself and it's gone. What I was trying to draw is this tree right here. So I'll start over. I'll just select the brush, and then you can just with the brush try to go around it, creating the shape. One thing that you do have to keep in mind for when you're using this tool is that the brush in specific, it must finish a cycle, like a circle, right? It has to be a full shape. It cannot be just a line. Well, it can, but it will not show anything on the design. So it has to be a shape completely like this to work, to show some decoration, right? So let's say this is the tree at the back that I just decorated. I'll save it. I'll save it as a tree, and we'll say it also has 100 lights, right? So we'll say that there. Okay. And let's see what else we have. Okay, the notes. Same thing. You click on the note, and I don't want these shrubs right here to be decorated, so I'll just click here, and you see it added a one, which because it's the first note that I'm leaving. So I'll add the note, do not decorate, and I'll insert that. And same thing. If I click on this and I keep going, it add a second note on this side, and you can say here is the connection for lights. Uh, so that way they can guide themselves, right? They have notes, they know, they can read what you wrote, so they will be able to, okay, say this, do not decorate, here is the switch, things like those. We also have, as I was saying, the wreaths and garlands. So you can just come to the unlit ones and just grab one, drop it on the canvas. For this particular items, you do have to wait for it to load. If you saw there was a spinning wheel for a while, just so it can save the design on the decoration. That's very important because it takes some time to render these specific items, right? So now that it already spin is there, I can just choose it and resize it, and then I can just leave it where I want it to be, like there, something like that. Same thing for the ones that have lights. Let's say I will use the spirals. First thing I'll do is I'll zoom because I want to decorate this column right here. So I'm going to grab one of the spirals. I'll drop it in the picture. It's way too big. I'll wait for it to load. You see, like it happened there. It loaded already. So I can click on it, resize it mm, to make it look like if it's wrapping around the column. I think that seems to be it. Okay, so instead of just keep on grabbing more and more, you can just click on this one and duplicate it. And then just grab the duplicate and adjust it to where you want it to be. See, I'll duplicate it again. And then I'll just add one more here. There we go. Okay, so we decorated that column too. Um, and then for the back and forth arrows, like I mentioned, this one works only with the pen, with the straight line. So let's say I'm drawing the top of the house like this here. I'm going here, then I'm going here. Oh, but wait, this is not what I wanted. I wanted to go down instead. So you can just go back, delete the last line, and draw it all the way to the bottom, or go back as much as possible, or go forward as much as possible, right? That's what you do with these arrows. So then we'll just go ahead and save that item right there. This is a fascia, so it's 20 feet. Okay, I'll just draw one last line here. This is also a fascia. 20 feet. So yeah, that's pretty much how you design a photo. Like I mentioned, this is about practice and creativity. I'm not that good of a designer myself, but you understand the point. You understand how things work. I think I like what I see here, so I'll just move over to the next step, which is step 3, and that one will show me how the design looks, that creates the final design that we sent over to the customer, right? So it's rendering right now, it's loading, it's moving over to step 3, which is design. And now that it's on step 3, it's going to show me the design, some sort of final design, right? There we go. Okay, so we can see that there's a couple of things that they might still not look uh, symmetric. For example, the lights, I think the lights are too big. If you want, you can come here and select all the lights from the roof like that. And if you see, it opens this menu right here that lets me change color and light density. So it starts with the light density. This is to make lights big, right? They look really bold. You can just switch it over to 1, which will change the size of them. Let's see here. Three. There we go. Okay, now they look more natural, I could say. You can change colors too. Uh, Overall, you can change color here for everything, or you can just pick one and change the color just for one. That's up to you. I think it looks better if all have the same color, so I'll start there with the roofs, and we'll move over to trees. Let's see here, something is off. Yeah, not sure if it's my internet connection or what is causing it, but if you notice, there are some of these that are not changing colors. So I'll try to just to pick them individually. Like this, change the color here, change it back here. Okay, there we go. Yeah, that's something I need to check because they all should be changing colors at the same time, but I'm not sure if I'm having a slow connection right now or something, but it seems to be working individually. Okay, so here you can adjust size of the lights, color of the lights. You can still see some of this, for example, details on the wreaths, on the garlands, spirals. Um, and that's pretty much what you do from this step. You can still add some daytime decor here. We have a lot of test daytime decor on our test franchise. If you click on this icon here, you see that you have bows, and there are some items that we don't even use, but we just upload them for testing purposes. But there are also some that you could use. Like if you scroll all the way down, you will find more designs for wreaths. You will find these garlands right here, which are garlands that you can also just grab and drop into the picture. Like for example, let's use this blue one here. I'll drag it, I'll drop it, it's there. And then you can just select it. Wait, this one here. And resize it. Oh, it's too small. Resize it and just add it somewhere where you think it will look better. Um, you can even replace this one. Let's say I don't like that first red that I added. I'll go ahead and delete it. It's gone. So now I'll just grab this one and I'll add it here. Okay. So I think that looks better. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much what you do on step 2. You can also see changes from date light to mm, not, well, a darker time in the night or afternoon like this. Um, and depending on how you adjust it, this is what the customer will see. You have an access here for, let's say if you are live on the customer's house, you can access here to the marketing video. by clicking on it, and this will populate the video in case you want to show it. Or you can also access here for the presentation for Lyra Cloud. So that's also something that we enable on step 3 in case that you're doing this on the spot, on like on the field, on the customer house or something. Once you finish adjusting everything here, oh, you can also see totals, like it gives you price for discount with early installation discount or list price without any discount. So you can start comparing prices from step 2. I'm sorry, from step 3. It shows you a total on how much it is so far with what you have included on this picture. Let's see what else. Oh, that shrub looks bad. Let me just fix the shrub. Mm, well, that looks a bit better. Yep. Okay. All right. So once you're done, you just hit next step, and this will take you over to step 4, which is the item list. On the item list, well, that's pretty much for you to start adjusting the summary of the quote, pricing, or adding extra items that are not shown on the picture. Remember that I'm just using one picture. It's possible that you will be decorating the whole house, so there might be some extra items that are not going to be displayed on the initial design, right, on the photo. The items I have here are only the items that I drew on the canvas. I have reach, the front reach that I draw. I have the fascias. I have the windows that I also did on the left side. The one shrub that I did. The 2 trees that I added. The 3 garlands, spirals, and the blue wreath that I added on step 3. All of this you can change and edit: names, quantity, description, quantity suggestion. This one is for the installation crew. If it's a large measure, let's say this reach, if it's sometimes 200 feet or something that you're going to be using, you want to display this on a single line, you can just change the measure here, and then you know already how long is each piece of reach that you have on the warehouse. So you can just come and adjust the quantity here, so the installers know how many pieces they need to grab in order to fulfill the requirement of quantity, right? That's pretty much how that quantity column works for. Um, we have an items column, which is for you to select the item that you will be using. It's on a drop down, and we already upload default the price list and item list to the franchises. So you have a list of items where you can select which one is the one that you will be using. So that's there. The source column, this is for new and reinstall. Because if this is a renew quote from last year, they have already items, then you don't have to use the items on the warehouse. You can just select the R to specify that this is a reinstall item, so that way it will not count towards your inventory. Some franchises, they do have the inventory with the pieces exact and everything they are taking out of the warehouse. So it's just to keep a track on that, that you can change the source from new to reinstall. Description, these are notes that you can show to the customer on the quote. And also this will travel with the installation job sheet, with the takedown job sheet, and so on. So these are just important or guidance notes for the customer and the installers. The column for level, as I understand, some franchises use the level to specify if it's a complicated or a hard kind of installation that you have to do. If that's the case, level will switch the price of the item. If it's a level 2 item, the price will increase by some percent. just to denote that this is a different, it's the same item but on a different type of installation, right? So it increases the price because of the difficulty of it. This is also something that you set from the franchise configuration, level 1 and level 2 percentages. Pricing, of course, this is the list price that we have on our inventory. I think we'll review that on a future webinar, the inventory and the price and everything. The column for early install price is pretty much the same price of the item multiplied by the amount or the measure, and including the early install price, the early install discount. So this is the price with the discount, and then the subtotal is the price without the discounts. We have action buttons next to the items. So the blue circle with the minus sign on inside of it is just to add the item, but to not charge it from on the bill. So just to skip from the bill, basically to add a free item or a courtesy item. The I that is grayed out, it's to exclude an item from the quote. So that's to remove the item from the quote and leave it as an add-on on the same quote. And then, of course, the trash can is to delete an item. What else we have here? We have the price list. As you know, there will be, well, you can create different price lists and change the percentage of them for price. So you can add a price list that goes on the same price from the inventory. You can have a price list that goes 10% up. You can have another price list that goes 10%, I'm sorry, 15% up, and just name them differently. So you know, let's say if this is a customer that is on a different side of the town that we charge different for that side, you can just switch the price list to the price list on that specific area, and that will also increase the price. I only have one price list right now, so this is by list price from my inventory. But if I were to have an extra price list here, like a second one, and I select it, all my price for the inventory will get an increase applied to it of a specific percentage, which is something you also have to decide and something that you configure from the inventory. Um, what else? The action buttons on the top. As they said, this is to add a new item. So if you click on it, it will pop up a message asking for what category of item are you going to be adding. You can select, let's say I'll do tree. I'll add it, and it will add a new item under the tree and shrub category. It's currently loading. There we go. So you see I have tree C now, which I can just define. This is another 100 lights. I can just look for the type of item that I'm using. I'm using a 12 inches on this one. And there we go. It automatically calculates price and everything. And let's say this will also be a hard installation, so I'm gonna level 2. You can add a surcharge. The surcharge is not an item that will be added on the list. It's just an extra charge that will be added on the quote. I use the example of I don't know, gas, maybe because the installation is way too far, so we have to charge for gas. I'll just add the surcharge, I'll add the amount, I'll add the description, I'll save it, and then if I come down to the summary, you see that the second line that says surcharge, it has $20 on it already, because that's the surcharge I added here. Of course, if you don't want it there, you click on surcharge again and just delete everything and leave the surcharge at 0, save it, and this will also take away the surcharge from the summary, right? So it's gone. It's no longer there. If you for some reason forgot to add a discount on the step 1 and you want to add a discount now because you just realized that you might need to add a discount for this customer, you can just come to add discount, and it will be the same. It will let you ask, it will ask you to choose what kind of discount you're giving, if it's an amount or a percentage, and then the amount or the percentage that you will add for that discount. In this case, I'm going to add amount, and I'm going to add a I don't know, $50 discount. It's there. I'll save it. And now on the discounts, line, let's see here. It's loading. So here on the discount line, you can see that it says $50, right? Same thing. If you don't want it, go back to the discount and change it to 0. Then save it, and that should remove the discount from my summary. Oh, it's loading. Yeah, so the discount is also gone. You get the summary here that shows you totals, discounts, incentive, taxes, deposit, and so on. I'll take a moment on a next webinar to explain in detail how the summary of the quote works. We also have the map, which is the things that we draw on the canvas. And we also get a preview on the design. Like I mentioned before, my internet has been giving me issues today, so it's possible that's why it's not loading. Let me just go back one step, and then I'll move back to step 4 to see if it loads this time. Okay. So this is the design on step 3. One thing you do have to keep in mind, if you add items on step 4, those items are not going to be added to step 3 or step 2. They don't work back. They just work up front. Those are extra items that you're adding because they are not on the picture. They are not on the design, or just to compensate the amount on the quote or something, right? But they are not an item on the design, so the customer is not going to see them here, but they will still be listed on the quote. Okay, so we move back to step 4 to see if it loads well this time. Scrolling down. Let's give it some minutes. Okay, it's loading. There we go. All right, so there we go. This is what you see on step 4. If I were to have an appointment date scheduled from the lead, that should display here. If I were to have this lead already accepted and just working on final details, that should also come up here, but that's not the case for this lead. Also, residential and commercial, this you can change from step 1. It's still here. You just have to switch from residential to commercial, and that will do it. So once you finish here, once you're done, you like what you see, what you have, you can just come and hit next step and go to step 5, which is the final step on the quote creation process or the design as well. On step 5, what you will see is something very similar to what we sent on the email for your customer, right? So we have your franchise details, we have your information also, well, the lead information here. We have the design that is showing here. We have the summary of the quote that gives you the option for year 1, year 2, year 3. Um, we have general information, which is similar to what we saw in step 1. It includes the customer information, the quote terms. We have a summary of the items. You see my notes are here as well because they do travel with the quote. We have a summary of the items with pricing and everything. We have terms and conditions, which this is something that you add from your franchise configuration. And it shows here when you send this to the customer. And at the bottom, we can see if the customer has signed already, if it has a date when he signed, or if there are some notes that he left. Currently, since I haven't sent this to any customer, there are no notes, but that's pretty much how it works here. Also, if you forgot to add your payment method on step 1, we enable that on this last step as a final option. If you remember, oh, I need to add my invoice link, you can just come to step 5, click on this. This will enable the text box for you to add the payment link. And when you send this quote to the customer, the link will travel along with the quote. What buttons do we have here? Well, we have the adjust button, which basically will take you back to step 2, if I'm not mistaken, so you can adjust the design. That's how that adjust button works. Give me a second. What happened? There we go. Okay. So yeah, it takes me back to step 2 just to do adjustments, to change things. Um, Going back to step 5, we have also a button to send the quote to the customer, so that way the customer will receive it via email. I'll show you how that looks in a second. Just bear with me because this thing seems to be taking a while. Okay, so we have a send to client button, which is to send your customer a quote via email. We have the print quote button, which is to download a PDF with the quote details. We have the accept quote button, which is for you to accept the quote. Let's say if you're just adding records from previous installations, but everything has been done already, you don't need to print any quote. You don't need to send any quote to the customer. You just want to keep a track of what you did. You come here and accept the quote, and this will move the quote forward to jobs and orders and so on. And we have the decline button. Let's say on the final stage of the quote, the customer said, I don't want that. You can just come here and decline it. So you can also keep a track of what happened with this quote and not just leave it there hanging without any changes. So that's pretty much how this buttons work. Oh, and the comments button is just to add comments on step 5. Nobody else see these comments other than you and anybody who access the quote from your franchise. So we can just leave a test comment, and this will travel from one year to another. Just keeping a history on what you commented on this quote. How do you see it? Easy. You just go back to comments, and there will be the comment with the date, the time, the year. So you can just leave, quick notes on this specific quote. Um, what am I going to show you now? Okay, I'll show you the PDF first, and then I'll show you how the quote looks like when you send it to your customer. Downloading the PDF.
Woman, can you talk about choosing the year plans if they don't want to send out the 3 year?
Sure. Um, so that's on a step 4. And on step 4, we give you the option to pretty much hide the year 2 or year 3 in case you are not going to use those years. You just have to come here to step 4, scroll down to where you have the summary right here. And if you notice on the top of each year, there is an I, which works the same as it works for the items. You click on it, and this will hide year 2 and year 3, whatever year you want to just show to them, right? So this is also something you can use and manage as you wish. Let's say you're just going to send year 2, you can just send this for the next year, or if this is just a one-time customer for this year, you can just hide 2 and 3 and just send year 1. And what this will do is that this will also hide those years on the quote. I'll show you also how it looks like. So I downloaded a PDF that included the 3-year plan, but now I have hidden year 2 and year 3. So I'm going to create or download another PDF with these changes. It's downloading, so let's give it some time. And I'll show you the one that I downloaded first. So this is the PDF that I downloaded first before hiding year 2 and year 3. Like you see, it comes with the customer details, franchise details, the design. If we scroll down, it also gives you the summary items, item list, colors, amount of lights, the subtotals. If you keep on scrolling down, it gives you the summary of the 3 years, because I haven't on this one, I haven't hide any years yet, right? So it gives you terms and conditions. You can scroll down, and it shows you where they can sign it. This is the PDF that you can print and bring to your customer so they can review it and sign it on the spot. Okay, but this is the one with the 3 years. Let's check on the one that I just downloaded with the change of hiding year 2 and year 3. So it's very similar, same information, the design, summary items, but on the summary of the quote, it goes out just with 1 year now, right? It doesn't show year two and year three because those were hidden. So that's pretty much how that works. It's similar to when you send the quote via email. The customer will basically just see 1 year or 2 years, depending on what you decide, or the 3 years if you don't hide any of those, right? I'll show you how it looks like when you send it. So this will send the quote to the email that we have on the quote terms, the lead email, basically. And it's sent, and it asks you if you want to continue editing this quote or if you want to go back to the quotes menu. I'll go back to the quotes menu to show you how it moves along. So if we go back to the quotes menu and we look for webinar test, it wasn't in process when we were designing, but now that we sent the email, it moves over to client review, but it's still red. Why is it red? It's because the customer has not opened this quote. So if you come over to your email, and I have my email here already, I'm just going to load it. Mm. Okay, so here's the quote I just received from Lightright Cloud. If I click on it, okay, okay. So this is how the email looks like. What they get to their inbox, just a greeting, their name, the information of your franchise. And when they go and review it, they click the button. Oh, and by the way, I just opened the email, right? So this should change color, I think. This is the step where it changed colors. No. Okay. So when I click on the review quote, it will open a quote for the customer to see what you sent them, right? And as you remember, I have hidden year two and three, so that's why I only see year one here. It will automatically pop up the marketing video. They can watch it if they want, or they can just close it. It will show them the summary for the first year. It will load the design on a side. It will show them the general information of their quote, the summary items, terms and conditions. It will give them the signature box and the comments. It has a date, today's date, and their name. But if we go back to Lightright Cloud and we reload the platform, this it's green now because they clicked on the check quote. So you know that they already checked on the quote. This is something you can be aware of. This customer has not accepted, but he saw it already, right? Because it's green. So perfect. I like this quote. As a customer, I'll select the 1 year that you offered me. I'll sign it. I'm going to leave some test notes. Oh, but before I do this, I'll show you, because if I accept this one, I don't think I'll be able to show you the the sales app. Let me just, that's quick. Sales app. Mm, mm, mm. Okay, so it's going to be, it's opening. Mm. Just bear with me a couple minutes, please. Let's see. Yeah, I was testing this one yesterday and it worked very easy. Still not sure if it's my connection. Well, I'll let that load. I have other quotes I can show you on the sales app. So just to continue on this process here, you see how it works, how it moves. If we accept the quote, it will ask them to confirm if they are sure they want to accept it. It will get a pop-up. I'm not sure if you're seeing it, but they just have to confirm they do accept it, and they will get another pop-up asking for a potential installation date and a potential takedown date, just to know when you can install for them and when you can take down for them. We're working on either adding a message there to saying that it's not a fixed date, it's subject to availability, something like that. So that's something we're working for the dates of installation, but they just have to specify one or select one, right? They go ahead and pick one. Timer settings, they do specify when they want the timer in the morning to start and stop. Same for the evening to start and stop. Timer notes, installation notes. This is just extra information they can send to you, and they get the option to select if they want to pay deposit or make full payment. In this case, I'm going to pay a deposit. I select the pay deposit option, so it will pull over the deposit window here. And if we go back to Lightright Cloud, the quote travel already to the next column, which is the column for accepted. I'll just go ahead and reload here. Okay. Oh, there comes the sales app too. Good. Okay. So if you notice, my quote has left the client review column and it went over to the approved column because I accepted it already. So it's approved, but it's not deposit yet. I haven't paid. If I go back to the deposit window, this is just the test mode that asks me to do the payment for Stripe. So I'll just pay that as a test. It confirmed that I paid. We can close this. The customer can close that, no problem. And we'll give it a couple of minutes for the quote to confirm the payment and do all the process internally. But once that's done, this webinar test should move over to the deposit received column, and that's the final stage of that quote. Now, from the sales app, I have the sales app right here. This is how it looks like. It's also a web browser-based app that will allow your sales people or your design consultants to go out on the field and work offline. Obviously, I cannot work offline right now because if I do that, we'll get disconnected. But this is what they see. So as long as you assign them a quote, like I did with the one for webinar, and they sync up their app, the quote will be assigned to them, and they will be able to do changes on the quote and go over to the customer house, stay offline, do the changes on the quote using the sales app, and when they get back online, the changes will automatically be processed into Lightright Cloud, and you will be able to see those changes live. They can also create new quotes from the sales app. As long as they have a lead, they can go ahead and visit the lead and create new quote and design with them on their houses, so they can see the design, how it works and everything. As options, we have also included here the video for the marketing video from Lightright Cloud. I'm sorry, from Decor Group, and the presentation also from Decor Group, and the quick reference videos in case the sales rep needs to check on any reference video. If they go to quotes, they will find all the quotes that have been assigned to them. In this case, to your design consultant or your sales rep. As you can see here, I have the webinar test quote still, and it's giving me the message. It tells me the statuses. So for Rocio Soler, it's on client review. She haven't reviewed it yet. For James Johnson, deposit received. That means that it's completed. The deposit was received already. And for the webinar lead, the one that we're working on, it's just on approved. They can click on the lead, and they will get the same exact scenario for the lead creation. I'm sorry, for the quote creation process. They will get the 5 steps, and they will be able to move back and forth, right? So we have this pre detail of the quote of the webinar test. And then they have two buttons here. Oh, 1 second. I hit the wrong button. So they will have two buttons inside of the webinar test lead. One, which is to print the contract or the quote, the one that I showed you before. And the other one, which is to modify. If they decide to go to modify, they will get the same quote creation process we were working on, from step 1 to step 5, and they can do all the changes they want to do. And like I said, the benefit of this one, other than just an extra tool for design, is the fact that they can use it offline, right? So that's the good part. They can use the whole experience on the Sales app offline. I don't think the only thing I don't think we'll be able to load is the quick reference videos, because those are a lot. But even the presentation or the marketing video, those two work offline as well, so they can show that to any lead or any prospect. And now, just to finalize this here, remember that I paid, so my webinar test lead should be moving over to deposit receive. It usually takes 5 minutes. Oh, it's gone. Okay. So let's just search for it. Webinar. It's there. Deposit received. So that means that it's done. If I check on orders, I should also have an order for the webinar test lead. It's right here. It's the very first one. Order status accepted. If I check on dispatch and routing, I should also have a job, but we'll leave that for the dispatch and routing webinar. So I'll show you how that works. And yeah, that's pretty much all I had for this presentation. Let me just stop the recording right here.